we'll go ahead and get started. As people start to or continue to join, they can just kind of pick up where we are. But thank you all for being here. We're thrilled to have you. We're going to start, I'll just walk you through what to expect today. First of all, expert mode and a year of transformation and opportunity is the name of this webinar. We're really excited to hear from our guests and our panel members. So first and foremost, here's our agenda. I'm going to introduce everybody that will be speaking today. Then we're going to have a quick keynote, and then we'll have a panel discussion followed by a live Q&A. So first, some housekeeping. If you're new to On24, make sure you drop all your questions or comments into the Q&A. We will be answering those at the end. And then for those of you that want to rewatch this or potentially can't stay for the whole thing or didn't make it live, this will be recorded and we will send it out following the conclusion of this webinar. So without further ado, oh, and if you don't know, the Q&A is down in the bottom, so feel free to use that as well. So first and foremost, I'm Sam Yarborough. I'm the Director of Strategic Alliances here at PFL. So I'm going to just be moderating today's conversation and manning Q&A. So please put all your questions down there. But first, I'd like to introduce Marnie Reed. She is the Chief Evangelist at PFL. So Marnie, I'll let you go ahead and say a few words.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam. Excited to be with you guys here today and excited to hear Jason talk about all of the fantastic things that he's got going on at Win Wow Business. My name is Marnie Reed. Like Sam said, I'm the Chief Evangelist at PFL, longtime PFLer, coming up on 19 years, which is crazy. PFL is a marketing technology company that enables our wonderful, beautiful customers to be able to light up the direct mail channel right alongside of their digital channels in their marketing campaigns. We do all of the technology component, but also the consultation on helping our customers identify what are some really engaging pieces that they can send out to their customers to get that so important piece of attention that they need from their prospects. So thank you guys for allowing us to be here today and excited to join.
Awesome. Thanks, Marnie. Next, I'm going to introduce our great partner at Intelligent Demand, Mike Swaney. Mike, go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, your role, and I'll let you take it from here.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here today. Mike Swaney with Intelligent Demand. I lead what we call growth consulting at ID, which is basically the compilation of all of our marketing, sales, and business development efforts. And if you're not familiar with Intelligent Demand, we're a revenue growth agency. We're located out here in the mountains of Denver. And we work with clients to kind of ruthlessly, tenaciously help them connect the dots between their revenue strategy, their technology, their media, their creative, to help them grow revenue. So super excited to be here today and looking forward to participating in our panel discussion following our keynote presentation here this morning. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. His name is Jason Winston, and he leads B2B marketing at WOW, one of the largest cable companies in the United States. I've gotten to know Jason a little bit over the past couple of years. Jason, I think we probably met at different industry events and different past lives when maybe you were at Comcast before WOW, and just have gotten to know you and enjoy kind of speaking with you and engaging with you. Jason is a fantastic marketer, and he has been a very, very good client of ours here at ID as well. But Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you say a few words, and dive into your keynote. Can't wait to hear it.
Mike, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks to ID and to PFL as well. So I appreciate it. As Mike said, I do manage all the commercial marketing for WOW Business. So what I'll talk about today is I'll go through a little bit about WOW, just give you a quick background about the company. I'll share that our success that we've seen on the commercial side has been really intentional. It takes time and it needs a plan. And why is it important? Because it really, I'll focus specifically on demand gen foundation, but really over the years I've realized demand gen cannot be successful without a foundation, as well as making sure it's part of a revenue strategy. And then how we were able to win during trying times, which I think, again, our kind of pre-planning and our intentional plan helped us do that. And then at the end, I'll give you the secret to our success this year. So stay for that. First, a little about WOW. We were founded in 1999 as an overbuilder. And what that means is we went into other markets and we either bought network or we laid our own network on top of other providers. So the unique thing about an overbuilder is that we compete in our markets. So we compete with either Comcast or Spectrum, sometimes others. So depending where you live, you may only have one option. Comcast may be it, but in our markets, we compete with Comcast or Spectrum. So we're really a challenger brand. As a company, we provide high-speed data, cable television, IP-based phone services. We have over 800,000 customers in 19 markets across the Midwest and Southeast. And we have 45,000 network miles that we own and maintain ourselves. So we're a really good asset. And on the business services side, we offer coax and fiber internet, business voice services, as well as hosted VoIP, Ethernet, video. And what's not on here is we have enhanced Wi-Fi as well, which has become really popular. So just a quick nod to a revenue strategy. Think of this kind of a funnel turned on its side, a basic funnel. But again, I will talk specifically around demand generation, efficiency, and the foundation. But I truly believe that really starts the revenue strategy in a sense too, because from there, you've got to think about consideration. So when you actually do engage with customers, and maybe they don't buy, maybe they do, but what's your strategy to keep yourself in a consideration set? So lead nurturing, marketing automation is important there. And then at the time of purchase, do your salespeople, and we look at this a lot, do our salespeople have the tools they need to make a sale, whether it's sales enablement tools or the right content at that time of purchase? And then of course, loyalty. How do you build customer communications and really specifically to telecom is churn reduction. So what do we do to that? So again, what I'll talk about today is really just a small part of the entire sales funnel. But first, what I really want to focus on is the foundational needs that WOW Business have put in place over the last couple of years. And I think these are often overlooked because they really set the stage for success in demand generation. And what it did, as I'll talk more, it really brought around some transformation and opportunity for us this year when we really needed it and needed it most. So for us, the foundational needs, network knowledge, really, where are our customers? Where is our network? Where can we actually market to people is important. From there, the prospect database, obviously, where do we talk to these people? We looked at improving our reporting and analytics to give us the insight we needed to make good decisions. And then you do swing that more a little bit towards customer facing. What's our messaging and value prop? How do we go to market? Offers and pricing is often part of that as well. Are we offering the right discounts or packages, and how is our pricing against our competition? And then stakeholder alignment as well. Are we aligned with the company to help build our success? So that's how we built that's how we kind of our categories of the foundation. I'll get a little bit more specific here as we go. So network knowledge, unique to telecom. We can only sell to people that are on our network or near our network. So, for example, one of our markets is Huntsville, Alabama. We don't cover the entire DMA of Huntsville, Alabama. So we don't want to market to Huntsville, Alabama. We need to know where our network is. And we have a really good internal team over the last couple of years that has really determined where that network is. And it gives us that understanding of where our prospects are, because obviously we want to market to where our prospects are, not to where they're not, obviously. And this is really where our transformation, I think, begins, because without this detailed network knowledge, there's a lot of wasted time and effort. So as you're thinking about building your own foundations, take a look at, maybe you have a national footprint, which makes things really easy, but is there a way to segment your prospect base to get much more specific? And then from there, we built a prospect database. This is important for us because we do have, because of our limitations of our network, or I shouldn't say our limitations of our network, but in terms of we can only market to where our network is, we really had to define that prospect database. So we've worked with a third party, and they bring in the 3 largest business data congregators in the country, and we bumped that up against our network to give us the ability to talk to the right people and get that response. And as part of this, then it allowed us to build a segmentation, a model of our prospect base. And we started really just quite simply looking at, okay, we know we have a number of customers. Let's see what they look like, and then bump that up against our prospects. So this is a lookalike model against our prospects. We've built this, and really quite simple, and you can see on the right there, it's striated from our high performers to our bottom performers. So this let us understand, okay, our high performers and moderate performers, they will respond better to us than our bottom performers. And this really played out during the year. It was one of those you never quite know, but right away we saw immediate impact. We were seeing higher response rates from our direct mail. Because again, we were now suddenly talking to people that are like our customers that will respond better. And it created a lot more efficiency for us too. So instead of, hey, let's talk to all our prospects all the time, we could be much more reserved and say, okay, we don't want to talk to the bottom group every month or twice a month. Maybe it's every couple of months. So it was a foundational need, building from our network knowledge, building a prospect database. It just allowed us to get a lot smarter, and this year improved lots of our response rates. And then reporting and analytics, I think sometimes this is overlooked. But over the last couple of years, we really dove into what reports were available to us and what analytics were important to us. And we found sometimes that some of these reports were built 2 years ago by somebody else, and maybe it has a different need. So we just took a really deep look into simple things. How do we count our calls and web leads that come in? Gross calls versus net calls. How do we incorporate Salesforce dashboards and other analytics? And if your company uses Salesforce, lots of great data, real-time data that's available there. And a couple of things that we saw from this that really helped us was, one, web leads. We drive lots of web leads into our call center for them to follow up on. When we first started reporting on web leads, we were noticing that sometimes web leads would sit 1 day to 3 days without a salesperson working them. And if you've looked at the numbers, for every 5 minutes you do not respond to a web lead, you have a 50% less chance of contacting them. And of course, if you can't contact them, you can't sell to them. So now we have real-time data that helps us understand these web leads came in, and are we working them in a fast way? So that was transformational for us as well, because now we can make sales faster or not miss sales. And through Salesforce and other reporting, we can also look at the type of calls that come in. Are we driving too many calls that are billing questions, or should they be transferred over to residential instead? So trying to eliminate some of that noise into the call center so they can do what they do best is sell. So this is things we constantly look at. We constantly update as things change to help us understand where we make better decisions. And one thing we also tested is our IVR. Again, those types of things can be set up a couple of years ago, and maybe they don't make sense anymore. And we actually tested with some of our marketing, let's send those calls directly into a salesperson. Let's bypass the IVR. Now we have to balance. Some calls may not be sales calls, but we found we were driving more sales calls because people weren't getting lost in the IVR. So those are just some examples of things that our reporting and analytics allowed us to understand to get better. So next, another foundational need, looking at it more towards a customer-facing foundation, is messaging and value prop. We conducted a study about a year ago, a brand health study, to learn a lot of things. What's the perception of our prospects about us? What's the perception of our prospects about the competition? One thing we did also was we talked to customers of other providers. And what I found fascinating was looking at the top drivers of why a competitive customer would leave. And I'll put my glasses on and read them. So the top 5 reasons we found in the study of why somebody would leave their provider One, easy to do business with, a company my business can trust, reliable internet service, makes me feel like my business needs are their top priority, and responsive to my business needs. And what I found fascinating there and really kind of took us back was only one of those was product related. So I think as big companies, we all like to say, hey, we're a leading provider of X, Y, and Z, and you should buy from us because we're so big. But in our specific industry, internet is internet. And again, it was kind of that light bulb for me. Well, we can offer our 1 gig of speed is just as fast as Comcast or Spectrum's 1 gig of speed. So what are those things, those other things that we need to be talking about? And clearly it came that partnership. I want someone I can trust. So it was less about the product and more about those other things that people were looking for. So it really helped us refine our value prop and how we go to market. So the next, and we worked with Intelligent Demand on this. They did a lot of great work on, okay, taking that research of understanding what prospects and customers look for, how do we then make that more customer facing that we can use for demand generation and sales? So they helped us develop the brand activation guide. And one thing we spent a lot of time on was why we exist as a company. Because again, we like to say, oh, we want to just give great products that are better than our competition. But that's not what people want. So we turned it. So why we exist, Wow Business wants to make sure our partners' businesses succeed. So that helps set the stage of, hey, small business owner, we want to help you succeed. And we have products to help you do that. But first, we want to help you succeed. And that gets down to the value proposition, a communication partnership that enables business growth and success. And again, you don't see really anything up there about a product of we don't exist to provide fast internet, but taking the study to learn about our prospects and customers, and then building messaging and value prop that will resonate with them. So the next step in the messaging and value prop then is how do we execute it, right? So how do we execute that message? We talk now about reliability and partnership. Which is really now more important than ever. So just looking at these headlines on the right, some new creative that we have, get a reliable partner at a better value. And that hits on a couple of those things that, hey, we're a partner. And as a challenger brand, we know we position ourselves as a value product. And we need to, and that's where we find success. And on the bottom right, wherever you take your business, we'll be there. So again, that nod of partnership of we want to be there with you. We just don't want to sell you internet and go away. And we actually can deliver on that on the back end as well. So I think building that foundation of messaging and value prop along with the other things really brings that message and helps us succeed. Offers and pricing is part of that. I talked a little bit. We have found over the years that low cost, when we advertise our low cost internet product, we get more response from that. But as we've built this foundation of demand gen, and we test lots of things. We test different offers. We've been testing 2 months free. And really since COVID hit, we've seen a big increase in response to 2 months free, where it's really kind of our champion offer now, which I find interesting. But it does make sense if you're an SMB, you're not quite sure where the next few months are going to take you. They can get a couple months free. They'll take that. But offers and pricing is a huge foundation for us because it's always evolving. We're always tracking. It feeds back to the analytics. But what is and again, we saw that specifically this year with the change in business environment. So again, just another thing that's transformational for us to help us succeed. The last foundation is stakeholder alignment. I know this is one of those, hey, sales and marketing, they always should get together. But we've taken it a step further where we've brought in finance partners. Finance, they do what finance does, and they look at profitability, they look at margins. But we've brought them into what we do with sales and marketing, and they've become more of a partner, which has really helped us. And a couple examples is when we talking about offers, but I proposed an offer, and it was a pricing on a 12-month term, and our finance partner said, you know what, the margin's not quite there, but if you could do it on a 2-year term, that'll work. Like, great, we found a solution. So instead of finance just saying yes or no. They're helping us now. They're becoming more of a partner. And we really saw this also when COVID hit in March and things started shutting down. We quickly proposed that we don't want to stop spending money. We want to continue spending money because we don't know what the future holds. But as soon as we stop spending money, it takes us time to catch up in that marketing. And everyone was on board. Sales leadership, finance leadership. Yep, makes sense because everyone knows where we're going. So again, sales and marketing always needs that partnership, but finance considers bringing them in because that's really helped us. And then how did it all come together? Looking at how we built the foundation. And again, this was not intentional. I mean, it was intentional. As things changed this year for all of us, we didn't need to pivot on a dime. We just needed to make some changes here and there because we had all these things in place. And we saw late in the summer, we had our 2 best sales months out of our call center than we've ever had in the history of the company. And it was one of those, people ask me how do we do it and taking a step back. And it was really gets to these foundations. But we had these things in place that helped us build. We didn't have to suddenly change everything that we've done. It's just we had these things in place and let's adjust a little bit. So, it was just so I encourage people to look at demand, how you do demand gen. Do you have the right foundations in place that help you in the long term? And then the secret, it really is the sales organization. We've developed such a partnership with sales, with our sales team. And I say here, we have the willingness to have the hard conversations, but what we've done, those conversations are no longer hard anymore. We have a call every week. We've done this for years with sales leadership, specifically in the call center to discuss, hey, we discuss lead volume. We discuss the numbers of product selling, close rates, those types of things. It allows us to solution right on the spot. And a perfect example, even Jill Stark, who is our SVP of the commercial business, part of her responsibility, among others, is the sales organization. She comes on those calls every week. So we can pivot, we can change. A perfect example was soon after COVID, on one of these calls, our call center sales manager said, you know what, we're talking to a lot more people now that want a business grade product at home because they're having to work from home now. But we didn't have a home-based business product for these people. So we discussed it on the call, and with Jill on the call, within really a short few weeks, we had a new product because we were able to make those decisions and find that solution on that call. So without that, and I've always felt that with sales, if sales isn't selling, then that's on me, but it never feels that way. So their success is my success and my success is their success. So having that alignment has really helped us. And one thing to consider, that revenue generation or demand generation, it's never set it and forget it. And we learned that really this year with lots of changes going on. And so our next thing is e-commerce. A month ago, we launched e-commerce. So now our prospects can buy our product online. So again, matching to customer need. So I hope that all makes sense. The foundation really has been key for us to build that transformation opportunity for the year, and we continually evolve as we go forward. So Mike and Marty, thank you for your time. I think we're into the QA section.
Thank you, Jason. That was so fantastic. I learned a lot. I love what you had to say about kind of de-siloing the business and having a strong foundation. So we're going to move into the panel discussion now, where everybody's going to kind of give some thoughts and strategies that hopefully you all can use in 2021. Again, if you have questions you'd like to hear answers to, go ahead and drop them in the Q&A. We'll be working them into the panel. So first and foremost, let's just go ahead and dive in. As Jason discussed, and it's no secret to anybody here, 2020 has been a pretty different year for all of us. So a question I'd like to throw to the panel is, what changes has your organization faced? Have you found opportunities to drive meaningful transformation as a result of what this year has brought us? And of these changes, is anything going to stick around within your organization? So I'm going to throw that question to Marnie first, and we'll go from there.
I completely agree. It's been an interesting year, and I can't, usually I'm like, oh, I'm kind of sad to see a year end. This year, I'm not going to be sad to see 2020 end. I think it was mid-March when everything kind of hit the fan. We are a company that allows our customers to send direct mail, but if your prospects and your audience have all disappeared from the offices, what do you do? And so much like everybody else, we pumped the brakes even in our own marketing, and our customers did the same thing. It's just everybody came to a screeching halt because we didn't know how to market to our audience anymore. And so we quickly did have to pivot, and we created a new service that we were offering to our customers. We did it for ourselves first and kind of tested the theory out, and it was very successful. And really what it was is offering a solution to request people's preferred mailing address. And so it sounds pretty simple, and it is pretty simple, but it's really asking people permission to continue the conversation and continue to provide value to them through sending direct mail to people's preferred addresses, which is typically their homes. So prior to us, when we pumped the brakes, I think our email response rates dropped to a 9.7% reply rate. Our meeting booked rate plummeted to a 0.9%. It was pretty horrific. And we just had to take the leap of faith, and we turned back on our direct mail campaigns within our own digital campaigns, and our email reply rate jumped up to a 22%, and our meeting booked rate jumped up to a 10%. So once we proved that theory out, we started to roll that out to our customers, and it's been very successful. And I think that's going to continue. I think it's going to continue to be more empathetic in your marketing. Jason, that's one of the things I loved about, really what you talked about is just having that empathy in your marketing and gaining permission to continue the conversation with your customer base.
I think that's all great. Jason, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I know you kind of touched on it already in your presentation, but do you have anything further to add?
Yeah, we really needed to pivot quickly to help field sales. And we had to adjust to depending what the community rules were, right? If there was no more knocking on doors, then our salespeople couldn't do it. So we really pivoted to how do we help them? What materials do they need if they're just walking by a business? Because there was a period where they could go to the business, but they couldn't go inside. So we developed materials for them quickly. We sent materials to their home address. We had things printed and sent to their home addresses. And I think those types of things will continue because we saw some value in it. Specifically for field sales, because obviously call center sales doesn't impact much because we can still call out or people can still call in, but really field sales will continue to be, I think, a point of emphasis for us going forward.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So as I mentioned, one of my favorite parts of Jason's presentation was him talking about kind of de-siloing departments within his organization. Mike and Marnie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on some ways that you're communicating and setting expectations between sales and marketing teams. And has that changed during the 2020 year, or is there going to be change moving forward? Mike, I'll throw that question to you first.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. It's interesting. Our sales organization at ID, actually our total sales and marketing and business development organization at ID is very, very small. I lead kind of a group of 2 of us, and then our CEO also leans in. So if we're not on the same page or we're not communicating well, that's a problem. So we can cheat a little bit because our organization is just so small. But as I think about this, we've had to adjust what we're doing, as a lot of folks have. And I would say that, while we have that small team, we do still have pieces and parts from each of those disciplines. And we've all kind of had to adjust and lean in a little bit more. One of my big lessons from the year is it is okay to be going outside our comfort zone. For instance, I'm a career side agency or a career agency side marketer, but now I wear sales business development, growth consulting, where I'm providing strategic value to clients and prospects, and marketing hats for the agency. A lot of times that it all comes together at the same time. And, I'm asking our team to grow kind of broadly or horizontally as well as we pick up different skills. So I think that communication and the expectation setting is that everybody's going to kind of lean in on this thing, especially because we're all in a virtualized environment. And that's going to be okay. And it might be a little bit scary. And we're just kind of learning about some of the positives that have really resulted from this year along those lines. And we're all kind of seeing personal and professional growth at the organization and for ourselves. And I think everybody is a little bit more aware than maybe they had been in the past of our pipeline, our bookings goals, and everybody's chipping in. And sometimes that does push us outside our comfort zone. I think it's helped us come together as a team. I suspect that'll probably continue into 21 as well. But, again, I can cheat it a little bit because we're a small team, but we're all kind of going outside our comfort area right now, I think, which has been really, really interesting to see us grow.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, being on partnerships, that's certainly a focus for us this year, is how can we integrate these teams more sufficiently and effectively. And so I think everybody wearing a lot of hats is certainly part of that. Marnie, do you have anything to add to that question or conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mike, you hit it on the head. And I think one of the things that this year has taught us is just to be laser focused. It's, I think there was a lot of sins kind of hiding because we were seeing such great success in the early part of the year. And then when everything fell apart, it's like everything came to the surface and it was like, okay, we have to be super focused. And we have to make sure that we have really our A players just getting after it. And part of what we've been doing at PFL is just, again, pulling those sales and marketing teams together early and often. Oftentimes marketers will, put together a campaign and they get really excited about it and they flip the switch and activate it. And then sales finds out after the fact. And we've been just more disciplined with pulling our sales people in early. As you mentioned, Jason, no longer feet on the streets. And so you have to be more resilient and more disciplined and making sure that your sales team is just getting all of the tools that they need to be able to accomplish their jobs. One of the things that we're kicking off actually just this quarter is really having those experts internally as a resource to help your sales process, kind of expedite your sales process. So focus and discipline.
Yep, definitely. So kind of continuing that conversation, Jason, you mentioned that a huge part of your success was partnering closely with your sales team. Do you have any further specifics on how you actually did that so we can give some tactical examples for people?
Yeah. Aside from our weekly meetings that we've had for years now, is when we were able to go into market, we would go in market and talk to our salespeople. We're based in Denver. Our markets are all in the Midwest and Southeast, so we're not in market. It's hard for us. So we go visit markets. We talk to salespeople. One thing that's been really valuable to us is 2 or 3 times a year we would go to our call center, and we would sit with our call center reps, and it gives them the avenue to talk about what things get in their way of sales. And it could be a process. You learn process issues that you didn't know existed. They'll have input on, if I could offer this, if I can add free installation on top of this, I think I can sell more. So it's super valuable for us because, again, we sit here in Denver, but to get down to that market level and really understand what they're dealing with day to day allows us to fix a lot of issues that get in the way of sales.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. We do have some questions coming in here. So this has been something that's kind of come up multiple times throughout this discussion, but when you can't network face-to-face, how are you doing virtual events? We'll start there. And do you find value in them? So I'll go ahead and push this one to Marnie first, because I know we do a ton of virtual events. So
we do. And so do our customers. I think we've been rattled. I think in the beginning of the year, we had T-shirts made for our employees that listed off all of the trade shows that we were going to go to this year, which is going to help create pipeline and face-to-face engagement. And I think we maybe did 2 before everything got shut down. And so we had to quickly move to a virtual event strategy. And so we have implemented that, and we've been seeing really great success with it. One of the challenges that I think many of our customers and even at PFL we're experiencing is we've got some virtual event fatigue happening, where people might register, but they don't show up. And I think, frankly, people are just tired of sitting in front of their computers all of the time. And so we've had to get a little creative in how we continue that engagement with the people who are registering. One of the things that we implemented and now our customers are adopting, originally it was the booth in the box. And so if you can't have people actually attend your booth, maybe you need to bring the booth to them. And recently we kicked off another really fun event piece that we did prior to a virtual event that we were doing, where we provided sponsors the ability to get some branding in there. But then also made sure that we had some engaging pieces so that people would show up for the virtual event and continue to engage during the event. So kind of a fun little coloring book, but there was also like a treasure hunt that we did where it said, hey, attend these different sessions and find the keyword, and then you could be nominated to get some prizes at the end of the event. So I think we've had a lot of success, but I think we're as you said, Mike, we're stretching ourselves outside of our comfort zone to figure out how to continue to engage with audiences that are just sitting in front of their computers all of the time.
Totally. The fatigue is real. So thank you all for joining this webinar. Mike, do you have anything to add to that discussion?
Yeah, we follow at Intelligent Demand kind of the philosophy of Topo. That's kind of our kind of guiding light. We begin to add practicality to kind of their theory. But one of the things and one of the big pieces that Topo talks about is the idea of a high value offer. And the way we translate that as a professional services agency, we don't have a software platform. We don't have a product per se. We have our ideas. We have the outputs of those. So whenever we engage in a conversation with, an ICP fit potential prospect, a P1, a P2 persona that would be valuable to us to speak with, we really try to make it and turn it into a high value conversation, like hopefully today. We're seeing kind of bursts of activity because everybody's inbox is just overfilling with, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of untargeted kind of junk, honestly. We're really trying to add value and make a conversation the outcome of a lot of our marketing and sales efforts. And because they're meant to be that high value, they are delivering something of value. We are seeing a little bit more engagement from folks during the sessions and especially kind of after, with us. But I think really what we're seeing is kind of, highly valuable, demonstrable, attributable kind of pipeline bursts as a result of a mix of kind of virtualized events that vary between a webinar like today or a workshop, but really trying to make them valuable for those who join.
Actually, Mike, that's a good point. We've been seeing the same thing where we've been doing these much more VIP events like we are today, where instead of doing a webinar where we're trying to drive 3,000 attendees, it's can we get 50 really engaged audience members that they can then take away something back to their marketing team to say, hey, this is what we're going to implement. So yeah, very similar. And I don't know if you read the study that HubSpot pushed out, and I think, Sam, you saw an updated one. Back in June, HubSpot pushed out a report that said that marketing and sales emails were up by 67% over the baseline, which the baseline was already ludicrous. And so to have it be 67%, and then the effectiveness dropped by 25. And I think, Sam, didn't you say that you saw another one get pushed out by HubSpot recently?
Yeah, if you just Google it, it's astounding. The baseline now is, I think it's up like 116% or something like that. And then the response rate from the baseline is down 33%. So the digital noise in the marketplace has just gotten completely out of control, and reaching customers with solely that is, as we know from personal experience, it's difficult. So this is kind of great because we're talking about virtual events and pipeline. And the next question I want to ask is to Jason. How are you generating pipeline and new businesses when your reps can't walk into an office like they were before? And how are you converting that pipeline into revenue? Because that's why we're all here at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure. It becomes much more relationship based. Looking at that funnel, who have they spoken to before that they have a relationship with, and that's really a key part, I think, rather than trying to make a cold call, right? It's do you have that relationship previously? You've spoken to somebody and can follow up with, but then it's finding that value prop. Using the value prop I talked about, where it's, hey, I don't want to sell you cheap internet, but we can partner with you, and these are the reasons why. And so we're getting more requests from different parts of our organization of we need some more materials that talk about the value that WOW can bring somebody besides just internet. So it's changing the conversation a little bit, where, again, it's less about product, but more about we're invested in your success.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So just a reminder to the audience, we're getting a few questions here. If you have questions, don't be shy, drop them into the Q&A and we'll have the panel members answer them. One that just came through, and Jason, this again is for you, but the telecom industry has been very focused on bringing everyone together during these times. I know I've seen 100 million ads focusing on that message. And to our earlier point, it's a very saturated market. So how do you and did you differentiate your message and stand apart from that?
Yeah, there was early on, the telecom industry got together and decided that, for one main thing, that they weren't going to disconnect customers for non-pay, knowing that some companies were struggling. We also allowed payments to be deferred. Okay, you can't pay us for the next 2 months. That's okay. We'll catch up later. So those were really important, and I think we've been able to keep a lot of customers because of that. But to differentiate, it was hard because when you looked at a lot of the advertising, not just telecom at that time, but it was very much of in these uncertain times, and that all kind of got lost, right? So our differentiation, it came down to, again, what we've learned in our brand study was those kind of soft, I say soft skills is probably not the right word, but just the differentiation of we're here to help you. We understand the situation. Things aren't horrible, but we know we want to help you. And I think that again is also, it's one of those, a foundation we had built that we were able to lean on as this happened.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, everybody is sick of hearing how terrible 2020 was. They already know that firsthand. Right. So again, creating empathy with your customers and finding something that truly resonates with them is super powerful. But again, we're all here to run businesses. So my next question is around revenue. So how have your goals changed? Are they higher? Are they lower? Are they the same in terms of revenue? And what has that process looked like for your company in reassessing priorities and opportunities? To give Jason a break, I'm going to throw this back to you, but we'll start with Marnie answering that one.
Yeah, I think we did have to change our goals. I mean, we had to be realistic, right? It's not, we didn't do anything internally to cause the issue that happened. And so we wanted our own team members to not be completely demotivated by a number that was not achievable in the environment that we were in. And so we did reforecast, and we reforecasted to say, okay, first of all, we need to make sure that our customers are being served and that our employees feel safe. And so we created a forecast plan that basically mirrored that. And it also gave us a really good target to hit, where we said, if we can get back to X amount of revenue, that will be like a turning point for us. And we blew it out of the water. And I think we blew it out of the water because people felt like they could participate in it and really own it and make it happen and not have it be something that was like this pie in the sky number. And it gave us a good sense of, okay, we're back to normal. We're back to our pre-COVID revenues, and that makes everybody feel really good and safe and knowing that their job is secure. So.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, totally. And I think you brought up something huge, safety. I think that's kind of an underlying theme of this year, not only emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it. So whatever we can do to expand that feeling to our customers and to our employees is only going to benefit us. Jason, do you have anything to say about kind of your revenue goals and how they've shifted?
Yeah, we also reforecasted for obvious reasons, especially when you have a field sales organization that can't knock on doors. But that didn't mean that, as well as demand gen, right? That doesn't mean you have an excuse for performance that's not at budget, that's not a goal, right? So it's always, okay, we'll reforecast, but we all still need to work, right? And that's carried its way through for 2021 planning. We actually are expected to grow. We're a publicly traded company, and of course, we'll be expected to grow. So it's just a new way of doing things that we have to adjust to, and that doesn't give us really any relief on expectations for the company.
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of bringing that trend forward, how has your company strengthened their relationship with your customers? So obviously, I know for us and for a lot of companies, we've always been looking at net new, but has your focus shifted to retention or expansion? Is the strategy around relationship with your customers changed at all? Mike, I'm going to throw that question to you first.
Yeah, that's a great question. As we've looked at this year, it occurred to us that, a lot of what we do in a PS space, and Jason mentioned this earlier, is it's relationship focused. And sometimes that means, and we would say it in agency speak, like walking the hall. It's like, hey, I'm going to go over to WOW, and I'm gonna sit down with Jason, and we're gonna talk about a thing, or we're gonna plan, or Jason and I are gonna go and we're gonna grab a beer. Like, none of that exists anymore. Mm-hmm. So, or at least currently. Hopefully, Earth 2.0 won't last too much longer. But our teams have kind of doubled down really on account service and expansion in particular of our existing client accounts. I think because of the way we are providing virtualized experiences every single time that we get on a call, whether it just be a phone call or on a Zoom or an On24 event like this, we're really working kind of harder than ever. And I really believe this to kind of provide a remarkable experience as best we can in the current environment. And I truly believe that those efforts have propelled us to, what I think could be a really good finish to kind of an interesting year. Personally, I'm also kind of trying to dive in and kind of bridge both sides of our house, helping our teams kind of provide that level of service to partners mm-hmm. and prospects, or at least I think I am. And then also kind of trying to deliver that experience with every touch point, because you don't get a chance to really make it up if you talk to a prospect, you talk to a client, you talk to a customer, and you're in this environment. If it goes bad, you can't really read their body language. You can't say, hey, I need to take you out for a beer or lunch or whatever that is. And those abilities to kind of make good on a relationship gaffe harder to get at right now. So long story short, too late. Yes, we have really kind of dove into kind of retention and expansion, great experiences for our clients as best we can during this. And I think it's mm-hmm. that focus, back to what Marnie said, that's really helping us grow here this year.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the body language and all of that. That's not expressed over virtual calls. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Marnie, I know something we hang our hat on at PFL is delivering remarkable brand experiences, which Mike kind of touched on there. So I'm going to throw this to you next. How are we strengthening a relationship with customers and clients?
Yeah, and I apologize for walking in and out. My dogs are not being very cooperative to do a webinar this morning, so I need to get them out running a little bit. I think we've always been very customer focused at PFL. That's something at the core of the value that we have. The culture that we bring to our customers. But I think this year we've even doubled down on it. One of the ways that we've done that, and Mike, you talked a little bit about it, is just making sure that we have the right team of people to serve our customers. And we've really kind of honed in more and more on that customer experience, trying to be as easy to do business with as we possibly can, taking the burden off of our customers, putting it back onto our team to be able to solve those problems. And just having really a strategic account team for our customers, so they have a unified message, they have a unified team that they can go to. And we have very much focused on that customer experience and that customer retention this year, more so than ever before. Because what we're seeing in our sales cycle anyway is that sales cycles are running longer than they ever have before. And so, we have these great customers that are kicking off some fantastic campaigns and programs, just making sure that we're helping them measure the success of those programs, and really helping them drive their own business and their own revenues. And it's a win-win situation. I think, Jason, you brought up multiple times, it's the partnership. It's not only the partnership internally with your teams, but it's the partnership externally with our partners and our customers. Being able to work with a company like Intelligent Demand and figuring out how do we come together and help solve our customers' problems has been really key for us. And we've seen a lot of success with it because it's a unified story that we can share with our customers.
Yeah, well, I think that's spot on. Okay, final question. And again, if anybody has any to add to the Q&A, we do have a few minutes here left, but I'm going to throw this actually to Jason. Do you think our current environment has changed the way we market for the future? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think as I had dinner with a friend last night, and we were talking how just this environment will change life in general. So yes, I think it does. Because our main target is small businesses, and small businesses will have different needs going forward. And one thing we've seen, as I mentioned earlier, that all size businesses are sending people home to work. Well, that's a whole different product for us, and that's a whole product need for a company. So now we need to market to that, because if you have a VPN, you need a different type of product for your customer, for your employees to tie into the network. So I think we'll need to broaden our product base that we market, who we market it to, because I don't think, as we all know, people are moving home for good now, right? So that means that we need to appeal now not only to SMBs that are in a traditional office, but those teleworkers or those SMBs that have just moved home. So it will be a different marketing message.
Definitely. Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really think that a lot of the changes, I think a lot of the changes that we've seen this year in terms of how we're marketing and kind of much more focus has been required to reach folks as they are probably busier than ever. And just you kind of get up, you help your kids, you work. You go to bed, you get up, you help your kids, you work. And I feel like, figuring out a way to add value to that sort of, honestly, it feels a little bit like, wash, rinse, and repeat a little bit, but adding value to their day, making their job a little bit easier, empathizing with them, because we're all kind of going through this in our own way. I think we're going to see some of that hyper-focused, hyper-personalized messaging that adds value be the norm. If you're sending me something cold, you're sending me something that's not relevant, you're sending me something that says, "Dear sir, I'm a Nigerian prince," I'm probably not going to respond to that. So, right now I think hyper-focus and personalization that, yeah, we knew about it, but it's going to become more important, and I think it's here to stay. Even as we get through this in 21.
I think you bring up some great points there. One of my favorite things to come out of this, if we can even use that statement, is that it's humanized all of us. Marnie's letting her dogs out. I'm texting my husband right now saying, calm the baby down. It's really loud. We're all doing the best to live our lives and get stuff done. And so also the expectations of consumers have changed. Like, if you're not talking to me and meeting my needs as a person, then I can't do business with you because my life is all wrapped in one now. There is no work-life balance. It's all in one. So before we close out, Marnie, I want to just give you a chance to answer that question. How do you think marketing has changed, and is it going to stay?
I absolutely has changed, and it's absolutely going to stay. You know, as I mentioned before, you know, there is no office. There may be an office, there may not be an office. I was on a call this last week with a couple partners that were actually in their office. And so we don't know where people are right now. And so there has been an openness. And like you said, Sam, I think a vulnerability that all of us have experienced where it's like, you know, it doesn't matter that I'm in my bedroom right now or that I've got dogs running around in the background. I'm doing my job. I need to continue to push to make our company successful, make our customers successful. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. You know, there's been so many reports and studies that have shown that people are not, you know, many companies are not going back in the offices and not anytime soon. They've gotten more comfortable with having remote workers and they've seen success with it. And so, you know, the fact that I got, you know, Oracle sent me a package last week, it arrived on my front doorstep. It didn't bother me at all. And I agree with what you said, Mike, that hyper-personalization. I still get emails that say, Dear Reed. Reed is not my first name. It is my last name. And if you can't get something as simple as getting your data right and making sure that you're leveraging that data to sell and market to me, and then down to the level of where am I in my buyer's journey? You know, where am I in my marketing journey? So if you're selling to people who are doing ABM, do you know where they are in their journey? And then making sure that all of your messaging is really spot on for where they're at in their journey. And I think it's here to stay. That expectation is, I think that expectation has been set by Spotify and Netflix, where they're serving me up everything that I might like. I don't want to see things that don't resonate with me.
Agreed. Same. Yeah, we're spoiled as consumers, so that makes it a little more difficult for us as marketers, but we're all here to step up. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of the attendees for joining today. We really appreciate your time. And then Jason, thank you for your time and your insights. Super helpful. I learned a lot today. And then obviously Mike and Marnie, appreciate your insights as well. So for those of you that joined late or you know, had a baby running around or whatever, again, this will be recorded and sent out, so keep a lookout for that. And then here on the slide, everybody's email and contact information is there. We'd love to stay in touch. If you had any questions that didn't get answered today, please, please, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We look forward to hearing from you, and we appreciate your time. So that concludes today's webinar. Thank you all. And guess what, guys? There's only a few days left in 2020. So here we go.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.